When cancer shows up again and again in a family, some women take charge. They take charge before that illness strikes them. Alice Ann Dodge lost her sister at age 24, watched her mother battle breast cancer, and faced constant anxiety about her own risk. Instead of waiting, Alice Ann chose preventive bilateral mastectomy in her 20s, and that brought her much peace and freedom. Even though she had to face friends and doctors who questioned her decision, she knew it was the right one. She shares how personal loss can shape medical choices and why community support matters. She believes that each woman deserves the chance to live without fear. When you subscribe to our show, you help us grow. Someone you know may need to hear this story, so please share with your family and friends and consider supporting our mission at therose.org. Let's talk about your breast. A different kind of podcast presented to you by The Rose, a breast center of excellence and a Texas treasure. You're going to hear frank discussions about tough topics, and you're going to learn why knowing about your breast could save your life. Alice Ann, it is just a delight to have you here in our studio, and thank you so much for coming in and being so willing to share with us today.
Thank you, Dorothy. I really am so happy to be here. As much as I'm so anxious about it, I'm happy to talk to you. I'm so
want you to be
a board member.
Oh, so. Yes. We have loved having you as a board member. I don't know if I want to go down you being a board member first or you being a veterinarian. And I don't think I've ever known a female veterinarian.
Are you kidding me?
I'm serious.
Really?
Now, I've had cats and dogs and all kind of animals, but invariably they're men. So
what led you that way? By the time I was in vet school, and that was 20 years ago, vet school was 70% female.
Really?
Yes, because one, women are more disciplined than men when it comes to studying and making the grades, and they would do it. And then two, it's a great field for women because you can often work part-time and raise your kids, work 2 to 3 days a week. It has been, most veterinarians I know are actually women. Most of the men I know are large animal veterinarians, not small. So it's a very interesting field right now.
So you do have a specialty, right?
No, I'm what's called a general practitioner. I did 4 years of vet school, just like medical school. And then I went into practice, and I do small animal. I'm licensed to do large, but when you live in central Houston, you don't get a lot of horses and cows sort of thing. So, I do mostly small animal. And exotics. Some exotics.
Have you always had an animal of your own?
I have. It was one of those, I knew I wanted to be a vet when I was growing up.
How did you know that? I hear people say that. I go, how does anyone ever know?
I think I just knew this.
You were born in the city.
I was born here in Houston.
You're not from country.
Here in Houston. Okay. Oh, no. But I was the child that back in the day of pet stores in malls, like my parents would not let me walk past the pet store because I would see every animal in a cage, and every to be like, I need to get them all out of here. I need to take them all home, which is not what being a veterinarian is actually about. And then it was very interesting because after my daddy died my senior year of high school, and I sort of switched into I knew one person who was a veterinarian. I went to school with his daughter at St. John's. But nobody else was a veterinarian, and my parents were lawyers, and everybody was doctors, and everybody was this. And I thought, I need to be able to take care of myself. Because if my husband died or my daddy died, so I studied finance in college. And I have a finance degree from the University of Texas. And then I went back and realized I hated working at a desk job, doing I was like, this is not what I was meant to do. So I went back and started over and started taking, I was 24 in freshman chemistry, freshman biology.
Oh, my gosh.
It was hilarious. And, but it was the best ever. Organic chemistry, easiest A's I ever made. Oh, my gosh. Just when you know what you want to do And I love what I do. I'm very fortunate.
Now, are you a full-time, part-time?
I'm full-time.
Full-time.
Yeah, which is right now, fortunately, 4 days a week. We've come a long way from the 7-day-a-week, on-call all the time veterinarian that is old days. That's one other, like I said, another reason people do want to join the profession. You can still have that work-life balance. You should.
So let's go to early days. And I think maybe not early on, but you knew about breast cancer long before a lot of people were ever introduced to it. So can you share that experience with us?
Oh, I can. Because my mother had it first when I think I was a junior in high school, because it was the year before my daddy died. Mother had breast cancer, and I could tell you, Dorothy, the names of 10 classmates whose mothers were also going through it at the time, and they were calling it society risk, or they all, the pill in the 70s caused all of this, and everyone had surgery, and everyone had chemo, and everyone was fine. I mean, like, that was sort of, it was
really
scary.
10?
It was so, easily, and this was St. John's, not a big school.
Oh.
It was just, it was terrifying, it was scary, and yet you knew everybody else's mom was fine, so your mom was going to be fine. And I think that's what was about Elizabeth, because she was diagnosed. It was my senior year at Texas.
And this is
my
your
sister. Yeah, okay. Elizabeth. She was in her third year of law school at Texas, and I was in my fourth year of college. And I remember standing in the kitchen at the Theta House and getting the phone call from her. And they were saying and it was terrifying, and it was scary, and it was paralyzing. But it was also, you're going to have surgery, you're going to have chemo, and you're going to be fine. Because that's how it works. That was how everyone we knew worked. And so it was really when she had her surgery, and she had chemo, and she went into remission, and it was when she came out of remission. And at the time I was 25. That's when it really hit home. They're like, this is not something that's just...
Now, how old was she?
She was 24 when she was diagnosed.
Okay.
Let's see, and she died in 2005. Actually, it was last Wednesday. It was her 20-year, the 20th anniversary. So I've been thinking about her a lot lately.
Oh, Allison.
I told you I was going to cry. Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Listen.
We got 8 years,
But she was so young.
She was so young. And that's one of the things, you said this one time at a board meeting, probably 2 years ago. And you were reiterating what the oncologist and the doctors that you work with. And one of the things you said was that this doctor was saying, my patients are younger and younger. 20 years ago, my sister's oncologist, Dr. Theriault, he said that at the time. He said, my patients keep getting younger and younger. So we are not making progress.
No.
We are not making the progress we need to make, because patients that are 24 after 20 years of this should not still be that same.
No. So remember when we started the Rose in 87, I had a young lady in our support group, and I mean young, 22, who was too young to have a mammogram, but had already been diagnosed. Same with your sister. I mean, you would think the studies would really reflect it more than it does.
Well, and I was told repeatedly, and again, this was 20 years ago, so I'm not... when you know more, you do more. When you know better, you do better. I was told I was not a candidate for mammograms because my breasts were too dense, because I'm a busty kind of girl. My sister was very lean. She found it herself in the shower and went to the doctor, called me and said, who's your OB-GYN? I got to go to the doctor. And they found it, and he immediately sent her to MD Anderson. Like, he knew what to do. But it's kind of just, MD Anderson back then, when she was first diagnosed, told me they recommended or put out there bilateral mastectomy, because you're just a matter of when, not
Mother, sister.
if. Mother, my grandmother later down the road, and aunt later, And they also said, don't get tested, because insurance at the time, it was so new and novel to do BRCA testing and all the testing we did.
I remember that.
And the doctors were saying, don't do it, because then you'll be pre-existing and they won't cover it and XYZ. I think the only reason insurance covered my surgery because they'd probably already spent $1 bazillion on my sister. I mean, and she had everything you could have. And
now, wait a minute. She had resources. She had support.
yes.
Or you're saying also she had every possible treatment?
Yes, she had every possible treatment. She had surgeries. She had chemo. She had a stem cell transplant. She was in clinical trials. My brother was the donor. She was in clinical trials. And even with all of that. And so here is I'm going to say it, and a rich white woman who has every resource available to her. And so what happens when you don't have every resource available to you? The disease doesn't care.
No.
So everybody needs those resources available to them.
Absolutely. If nothing else, for the quality of life, even though I always question that term when we're dealing with treatment or we're dealing with the after effects of chemotherapy, and especially 20 years ago.
It was a different time.
It was so different.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I will say the best thing in my life was having a bilateral mastectomy. I was studying to get into vet school, and I was living in an additional state of anxiety. You see where I go. This is like my default.
Right. Now, your mother has totally recovered at that point.
Oh, she's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, she's doing well.
So she just got out of, almost, if I'm putting these times together right, she hadn't been out of treatment very long, and then your sister.
Not when Elizabeth was diagnosed,
Yes.
correct.
Wow.
Correct. And then Elizabeth, exactly, it just sort of consumed all of our lives for a while. That's what it does. And she was such a trooper. She was so amazing.
Tell me about her.
Oh, gosh, she's just awesome.
Personality-wise, was she like
she and
you,
I are
or?
night and day.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yes. No, she was the good child. Like, perfectly behaved, straight A's, Dean's List, anything like that you can think of. Oh, yeah. We went to camp together for 10 years. People did not know we were sisters.
Oh, my. that
She's
is
like
really
a blonde,
bad.
tiny little thing. Actually, it was Mystic, so I've been thinking about her a lot more than usual lately. Oh, no, but she was great, and she was a fun big sister. And, like, even during her treatment and her chemo, she met David, and she got married and was on set, to live happily ever after. And so you can do that. And David was instrumental in helping me. He reinforced the idea that I could have a bilateral mastectomy and still meet the man of my dreams, still get married and live happily ever after. Which was nice to hear from a man. I know that's not woman empowering, but it was...
No, and especially at a time 20 years ago when
it was like he's still going to find you sexy. I'm sorry.
Yeah. That is wonderful, though. We need that reinforcement. Doesn't matter where it comes from.
Yeah.
But that was a big decision for you. Now, did Elizabeth encourage you to do that?
Oh, she was so fine with it. She actually didn't push me one way or the other. Nobody. The only people who pushed me were the people who tried to push me against it, and that was actually very telling about some of the people in my life.
Wait.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I don't think
they were
I've
like,
ever
but you're
heard
24 and you're not sick. So why would you do this? Because you're cutting off two perfectly good breasts so that you can live forever. And why would you do that? Like,
they're asking this of a mid-20s? I mean, come on, like you would know those kind of...
I was just like, you can bottle feed babies, so that wasn't a thing. And sex, but hey, there are other areas. I don't know. It's just like, I don't know. It told me a lot about some of the people in my life that discouraged me from doing it. Because I woke up from that surgery And I had spoken to the anesthesiologist. It's a 12-hour surgery. And I'd spoken to the anesthesiologist before it. And I said, what am I going to feel like when I wake up? She said, you're going to feel like an 18-wheeler ran over you, backed up, and ran over you again. I was like, okay, just so I know what I'm getting into. Yeah. And I mean to tell you, when I woke up from that surgery, it was the most blessed peace I have ever felt in my entire life. Because my anxiety, my fear, I don't want to do this to my mother. She cannot have 2 daughters sick with this. It was the most wonderful, peaceful feeling I've ever had.
Oh, Alice Ann.
That's crazy.
That is remarkable. I mean, really, really. The anxiety you must have been feeling was just out of sight.
I do not think I could have gotten into vet school if I was spending half my life worrying about getting breast cancer. Ooh. I needed to be able, and it was like, here's the biggest concern I have because I'm watching my sister go through this at my age, so I'm not safe. And now all of a sudden, I don't have to worry about it. Like I haven't had a mammogram since I was 22. I don't think about it anymore. And it's been so wonderful. It was a life changer. I mean, it changed my life. Absolutely.
Now, this may be a little too much, but at that time, you went ahead and had the reconstruction, and they were using the long version,
the tram. I had the free tram flap.
Okay. And so that's still a very extensive surgery. Doesn't always go 100% all of the time, but apparently just having that emotional weight lifted was
phenomenal,
incredible.
It was life changing. I mean, it really was. And I was at MD Anderson, and they were so confused about how they were admitting a patient who didn't have cancer. But the general surgeons, because they knew my sister, were doing it. And then I brought in an outside surgeon, Bonnie Baldwin, rock star, not doing it anymore.
Darn.
Yeah, I know, right? She was the plastics. But she had done her residency there. And so they all knew her. And they were like, how'd you snag Bonnie Baldwin for this one? Like, we're all so jealous. She was fabulous. And it was perfect. So I was lucky. The surgery went well. Everything healed appropriately. I can understand, because Elizabeth had multiple surgeries. She was very, like I said, she was very lean, very thin, didn't have a lot of what I'm going to call tissue to work with. And so she had to have a couple of revisions, I guess.
But she's also going through treatment.
Right, and she's also going through treatment. You don't heal well when you're sick.
Right.
And she was sick. So I got lucky, but it's not that easy for everybody because there are revisions because you're sick.
But again, you making that decision, it being done at a time when your body is healthy, there's lots of good arguments for this.
Oh, it was
absolutely
the greatest, like I said, the greatest thing I've ever done for myself. And I tell them this. I'm in my vet school interview, because your grades get you qualified to get in, so then you have a personal interview. And I'm with these like 22-year-olds, and they don't know anything. They haven't worked, they haven't left college, they don't know what's going on. And they're like, "What's the greatest thing you've ever done?" And they're like, "Well, I really excelled in my, management class," or "Oh, I did really well in my biology this." And I'm like, "I had a bilateral mastectomy and reconstructive surgery."
How did your interviewers?
It was 2 men, no less. It was 2 men.
And did they double check?
And they both were like, "Okay, moving on."
Well, of course.
So it was like, well, that is the greatest thing I've ever done for myself. So.
Goodness. So, shifting gears here.
I know. I'm sure you're ready to.
No. I love this story. I mean, I haven't had anyone embrace this kind of surgery with such enthusiasm.
I would recommend it to any. When Angelina Jolie had it, I was like, me first. I had it first. Like, you're getting all this attention. Girl, I did this years ago.
And it was very unusual years ago to do that.
It was very unusual.
Yes.
And it was still, I'm so glad. And the first time MD Anderson recommended it was sort of when Elizabeth was in the first stages, like her original diagnosis, surgery, chemo. And they sort of mentioned it to me because I went in to get checked. And they said, you may want to consider doing and we were like, that is the scariest thing I've ever heard of. Like, oh my God.
Right.
And then she went into remission and life went along. And once she came out of remission and got sick again, I was like, oh, that makes perfect sense. Like, it did sound so scary and off-putting. And like, I would never want to do that until, I don't know, it just all of a sudden you get, I guess, a little more perspective, maybe.
Now, did she have a secondary cancer, or was it the same one?
No, hers was always just metastatic. She only had breast cancer, but it went to her bones, and then it went to her lungs, and then it went to her liver. And when it went to her liver is when we kind of...
Were you with her?
I was in my 4th year of vet school, and I would get reports because I was studying medicine. She would have her checkups, and I would hear what was going on, and I could kind of know more than my mother and my brother, and we didn't really talk about that sort of thing. So I think I was going through a lot of what they call anticipatory grief. Because as soon as I went to her liver, I knew. You know. Yeah. And I graduated in May 2005. She was July 30th. So I got to be home for 2 months. I had planned on taking a job not in Houston, but once I knew, it was like, okay, I need to be home. I need to be with my family. And I'm so glad I did. We were there at the actual time, sort of sitting around. She'd taken to her bed on Thursday, and then it was Saturday night. We were there. David's parents were there. She wanted to be alone with David. But yeah. So.
Do you still talk to her?
Kind of.
Did you complain to her about
exactly.
this?
I was about to say she gets a few comments now and then. And there's so many hysterical memories that I just, I think about all the time, and they make me laugh out loud. And to explain them and to explain why they were so funny, there's so much backstory that they're not, like, it's hard to do.
Yeah.
But you just are like, oh my God, my sister just, I'll miss her forever.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you'll love her forever.
I will love her forever.
Just the form changes. Yeah, always there. Thank you for that. I mean, truly, Alison, it's not easy to talk about such personal things. But let's go to your time on the board. What attracted you to the Roses board?
Honestly, I hadn't heard of the Rose until Peggy Rowe sat me down and said, I think this is something you would care about. And Peggy is so fabulous. One of the things I really liked about the Rose, because there are several breast cancer-focused organizations out there. And not to say anything bad about any of them, what I liked about the Rose was that it was, and I've never found the right word, locally focal. Like, I could see that what I did was making a difference locally. You'd make a donation to a national organization, you don't know where that money goes. With the Rose, you can see the women that you're affecting. You can see the coaches that are driving out to serve these women. You can, my friend Chris Noble, who has just, she's like the coolest thing ever, because she's in there interacting with the people, and I just loved the idea of seeing, and I'm sure I have not done anything worthwhile as a board member, but knowing.
Stop that.
But just seeing how locally you can make such a difference, I find to be so important. I found that so gratifying. So I really am so proud to sit on this board, and thank y'all so much for inviting me.
Oh,
and
It's been our honor.
Thank you.
I mean, you've been such a supporter and always, again, without,
It's okay. They edit
anything.
you can say it.
But you bring a different personal touch. You bring a different personal experience. And it's not your family experience. It is the work you do. When you say, I have surgery on Tuesdays and I might get out, I mean, we're all going, okay, she has surgery on Tuesday. We're not going to change her for this. But it's I always think it's easier for us sometimes to love our pets even more than our family, or just show it. Maybe it's the...
Well, they don't talk back quite as much.
Yeah,
as some
and we don't have to worry they might be criticizing us, right?
I can put you in a crate if you're going to act like that.
So I think that personal side of you that always, it's almost like you're kind of laughing at us when we get all concerned about finances and all that stuff. You're going, okay, I'm going to go take care of my patient here.
Yeah. And I'm a little bit like that with my boss, too, if that makes you feel any better.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Well, that's good.
He gets
At least I didn't dream this
No,
up.
you did not. I am. I'm definitely I'm just a pragmatic person. And I'm like, I got important things to do. So, let's move it along. Let's get done what we need to get done. Okay. It's important, but it also doesn't need to take 2 hours. It can be done, resolved, and let's fix the next problem. I'm a problem fixer.
Do you ever find yourself wanting to counsel young women about breast cancer, about what to do, about, yes, it could be you? Do you find yourself in that role at all?
Not out of the blue. I would not, say the young doctors that I work with out of vet school or in a certain capacity, I would never be like, oh, hey, by the way, are you checking yourself out? I don't find myself bringing it up unless it's brought up to me. I will say that. And I don't know why. I mean, it's not that I'm against bringing it up, but I guess I've never really...
But it's still not something everybody talks about.
Yeah, no.
It's still one of those, oh my gosh, breast cancer. Oh my gosh.
You need to think, and it does help in a twisted kind of way that I can say, my sister was 24, and they're like, oh, wow. And it's
let's think again, yeah.
It does happen when you're that young. And that's what Dr. Theriault said. He goes, my patients are getting younger and younger every year.
He was always one of our favorites.
Was it?
Yes.
Oh, did John Theriault? Oh, my gosh.
Yes. You have to remember back 20 years ago, MD Anderson was a place that would take many of our patients. This is pre-state program, all of those kind of things. It was a very different time. But we had a couple of boards we sat on together. But he was always very down to earth and would explain things, which is what I loved about him. Because he didn't ever try to talk up here. It was always, let's talk about what's really,
lay it out for you. This is how it's really happening. And because that's all you can fix is what's really happening.
Is that how you handle loss?
Oh, I don't know. And it's kind of funny. A friend of mine was actually asking me this very question the other day. And I think one of the things that's if you're a human doctor, and what that would be like an MD, if you treat humans, unless you're a cardiologist or an oncologist, you have a reasonable expectation that you will outlive your patients. You will. Your GP, your dermatologist, you're going to outlive your patients. As a veterinarian, you are not. Whether they die at 4, at 7, or 14, you do their puppy shots, you do their spay-neuter, you do a foreign body surgery, you do a broken leg, you do a whole bunch of, ear infections, and then you're there to put them down at 14 years. I love that about my career, that I can be there for the whole part of this dog's life. But it is a different, you have to learn to manage it differently than I think a lot of people do.
Wow. That's fascinating. No, I never would have even thought that way.
No. I mean, I had one of my favorite patients on Friday. I mean, it's part of the gig, and you cry and you're sad and it breaks your heart, and you try to, and you keep that compassionate heart because that's what they deserve. These animals are so They're so wonderful. And their humans are so wonderful that I get to treat them.
Oh, yeah.
I get to know them.
Right.
Over years, I always wanted that. That's why I wanted to be a GP. I didn't want to specialize and just do knee surgery and then never see them again. I was like, I want to be there for you.
Whoa.
From the start to the end.
Interesting.
I like that about it.
Yeah. I wonder, how does someone become, or an animal become your favorite patient?
Well, first of all, they don't try to bite me because that's happening way more and more.
Oh, my goodness.
All the rescue movement and then COVID and they're all on Prozac. It's not what it was 20 years ago, but no, most of my patients are great. They're great. Their clients are great. And often we've gone through something together, like a foreign body surgery or, just I've had to refer you because you have lymphoma or because I had to call one of my favorite clients yesterday because his cat, Molly, had mammary cancer, breast cancer. And I get to call him and tell him that she now has lung metastasis. Oh. And I broke this man's heart. I mean, he's just so sad. And I'm sitting there crying because there's nothing I can do. So it's tough. It's tough.
But we have to admit, we allow our animals to go on. And that doesn't always happen in our human world. We keep wanting and holding on and trying things that really don't add a lot.
Right. At some point, you got to call it a day.
Right.
And I'm one of those kind of doctors.
I can tell. I will tell you.
I will tell you if you're. I'm not going to allow you to let your pet suffer. I'm not just because you are ready.
Right.
That's not okay.
Well, that is a great place and way to end. Oh. I think this has been one of the most interesting interviews we've ever had. No, you did terrific. Thank you again so much for sharing. These are great life lessons. Well, oh my gosh.
Well, you run a great organization here, and it's a wonderful cause, and I do believe in it, and I'm grateful to be able to give anything I can, as little as it may be.
Listen, I think today you've brought a new message to many of our listeners, and thank you for that.
Well, you're very welcome. I'm grateful to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today on Let's Talk About Your Breasts. This podcast is produced by Speak Podcasting and brought to you by The Rose. Visit therose.org to learn more about our organization. Subscribe to our podcast, share episodes with friends, and join the conversation on social media using hashtag Let's Talk About Your Breasts. We welcome your feedback and suggestions. Consider supporting The Rose. Your gift can make the difference to a person in need. And remember, self-care is not selfish. It's essential.